Today is Doctor Who Sunday, and today is the day that we sit back and we relax and we take a break from all the crazy woke news. And let me tell you something, last week was absolutely bonkers with the news, and I'm sure that it will be bonkers again tomorrow. The woke news will be back tomorrow at 4 p.m., but today we are taking a look at Amy's Choice, an 11th Doctor story, as voted by you, the subscribers. To vote on the current poll, please head on over to the post page where you can find it. I know that some of you are waiting on the trial of a Time Lord. That is coming. It's just going to take a while to put together because it is long, and I am planning to release it over 4 weeks. However, I'm watching it over a period of time so that I can record it all at the same time and work on it that way, because it'll be a bit easier for me. Hello and welcome back to Chat About It, Don't Shout About It with me, Rachel, the Queen of the Wokers, crowned by one of my haters, not myself. Before we crack on with this review, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the channel, switch on the notification bells so that you know I am releasing another video. Thank you to everyone who has been switching on the notification bells. That is proving to be very useful. And thank you to everyone who's subscribed already. I cannot run this channel without you. Amy's Choice is an 11th Doctor story that was written by Simon Nye, directed by Catherine Morsheed. It aired on 15th of May 2010 and it pulled in 7.55 million people in viewing figures. As usual, there will be something that I missed out. There always is, so please leave a comment below as to what you think about the story Amy's Choice. Amy and Rory have left the Doctor. It's 5 years on. They're living in an idyllic little cottage in Upper Ledworth, and Amy is pregnant. It is a cute, quaint little town where seemingly nothing ever happens. The Doctor lands on Amy's flowers. She will not be happy. They all go and walk through the town. The Doctor notes that there's next to no one around, and Amy and Rory assure him that that is normal. They sit on a bench and suddenly fall asleep and wake up in the TARDIS. They're all a bit mystified about what is actually happening to them. They discuss the details of their dream and they find out that they all had the same dream. Before anything else can happen though, they wake up back in Upper Ledworth. The Doctor becomes interested in an old people's home. He notices that something isn't quite right about it and they visit them, but they fall asleep again whilst they are in there. They wake up in the TARDIS and eventually they meet a new character known as the Dream Lord. They discover that they are moving between one reality and a dream, or at least that's what they think. They are all set a mission to establish which is reality and which is the dream. In both the dream and the reality, they're going to be facing dangers. In the TARDIS, it is heading towards a cold, burning star, and in Upper Ledworth, they are dealing with ecnodeans. These aliens are inhabiting the old people in the old people's home, and they are turning the villagers to dust. It becomes a race against time to work out which is the reality and which is a dream. It falls down to Amy to make that decision in the end. And when Rory dies, she chooses the TARDIS as the reality because Rory is there and not in Upper Ledworth. However, there is a twist with this story. The twist is that the TARDIS is also a dream. So the Doctor blows up the TARDIS and everything returns to normal. The Doctor explains to Rory and Amy that he was the Dream Lord. I'm going to start with a question. This New Who story, do you think this is up there and is completely 100% Doctor Who? Do you think it is mid-card Doctor Who? Or do you think this is not representative of Doctor Who at all?
Lucky EI6YH thinks, my favourite episode of that season, and Triple Jazz Music is All 1883 says, I thought it was novel and brilliant.
I personally think that this story, for me, in my opinion, okay, it's mid-card Doctor Who. There were great bits about it and there were bad bits about it. The great bits outweigh the bad, and one of the best bits about it is Matt Smith and the finale. I will get to the finale in a little bit. But first of all, just so you know, my dad really likes the Matt Smith Doctor. I thought I would tell you that. And in this story, I understand why he does like Matt Smith as the Doctor. I have always wondered, but rewatching this, I noticed it. Matt does a very weird and eccentric type of Doctor. It's always very clear that he is alien, and it's very clear that he loses his temper as the Doctor, especially in this story. I think his snappiness is very much akin to some of the earlier Doctors. They are all in mortal peril, and he is trying to think of a way to get them out of that danger. He plays his snappiness with the right sort of level, not to the point where he's screaming and shouting at them. I think he is more blunt, direct, that type of snappiness. You get the sense that he is actually scared with what is happening before him. It's that fear that makes him speak to Rory and Amy in the way that he does in this. He does, however, apologise for that. He does it in the TARDIS, where Amy is asking for something warm. He snaps, but then he apologises to her and he directs her to the blankets. And you can tell that he is truly sorry about that. I also really love that he keeps his Doctor true to form. And this really does seem to help him improve as he goes on with every single story. I just think that that's my opinion. I also want to add that I think that Stephen Nye writes his Doctor pretty well. He does make sure of one thing, and that is to make the Doctor, when he is in the village, behaving like the Doctor does and save people. I also think it was a bit of breath of fresh air going from new Who in this soft reboot craziness that we've got to go back to that. Matt also plays his Doctor with the right amount of comedy in this, because it is quite a dark story at the beginning. When he's landed in the front garden, he says to Amy that she's swallowed a planet, which is really funny. Also very alien, because it's very clear that the Doctor didn't make the connection immediately that she was pregnant. No matter how many times she said it, she had to keep saying it. And then finally, he suddenly gets it. Another bit that I found funny, although I'm not sure this would actually be well within the character of the Doctor, but he says that he threw the TARDIS manual into a supernova, implying that he got angry with it. It just made me laugh. I don't think it's fitting necessarily of the Doctor to do something that silly. It was just funny, I think. He also talks in a dangerous voice, or a voice that says, "This is me warning you," especially when he is talking to the Dream Lord. He has this ability to make his voice go really quiet, but you can hear every single word perfectly when he is talking in that type of manner. However, he also makes it so that you don't always know what his Doctor is thinking either. The way he says, "I know who you are," to the Dream Lord, it makes the viewer go, "Who is he? Who is he? Who is he?" And then the reveal at the end that the Dream Lord was him all along because of a speck of psychic pollen from the candle meadows of Caris Don Salva. It fell into the time rotor and heated up and caused a dreamlike state. This psychic pollen is a mind parasite that feeds on the darkness in you. And I want to ask you, do you think that this is some kind of connection to the Valiard? The Valiard is the Doctor anyway, and it has the more sort of darker, twisted personality of the Doctor. And speaking wise, the Dream Lord doesn't sound like the Valiard, but I just wondered if it was some kind of homage to that character, because we already know that there's this dark, warped, twisted version of the Doctor out there. I don't often talk about the finale so early on in a review, but I just couldn't help it, because obviously this relates to the Doctor and it relates to the Dream Lord, and the whole wrap up to this entire thing was shocking. It was a dream within a reality type of thing, a bit timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly, without using that stupid phrase, and it being very well done. It's not predictable. We think, well, I guess we all think that it's going to be predictable, but it's not. Not that we know of anyway. The reality in the TARDIS is the real reality. I like it when Rory dies. I know that sounds mean, but I was clearly thinking all the way through it, and I was completely fooled that the TARDIS was the real reality. So, why are they not choosing the TARDIS? It was very clever writing. The finale just keeps you guessing. The reveal is shocking, and it was very well done. One of my favourite bits also is the ending, where there is a brief shot of the Dream Lord in the reflection of the TARDIS console. It implies that maybe he never really left. Very clever. And yeah, I say that. This Doctor Who story is mid at best. The finale is very much clearly Doctor Who. But there are things that happen in it that bring it down ever so slightly. One of those things that brings it down is the fact that it is companion-centric. I do like it and I don't. The companion is quite often not given the ultimatum in many cases in the stories. In this case, it is, and I do like that. However, I feel like it should actually be the Doctor that's being given the ultimatum. Companion-centric stories have been around most notably since Peter Davison's time, and they do work very well, but few and far in between, in my opinion. I prefer it if they're more spaced out. It's much like the Impossible Girl storylines or the Mystery Girl storylines that they do. Happens all the time, or so it seems. Now, in this case, it may be because I'm watching this out of linear and maybe I've misremembered. That is possible. I might just have forgotten where it falls. Where it falls within regards to what the companion is doing. It's been a very long time since I watched Series 5, but yeah, companion-centric stories are not always my favourite. I do know what this is getting up to, of course, and the reasons why they actually did it. Amy is naturally infatuated with the Doctor. Platonic, but she is infatuated with him, and essentially it's being given the choice of the Doctor, travelling with the Doctor, or Rory. She chooses Rory because he dies in the dream. It's about her coming to the realization that Rory is important to her. She loves him. It's very soapy, probably done much better than a soap. And I'm not dissing soaps, by the way. It's just soaps work on a mega time crunch. So it's not always up to the standard that they could be.
Chiggy118 agrees, decent enough story but dragged down by the curse of almost all post 2005 Who, too many soap opera elements.
There are some other things that bring the writing down. New Who has a habit of making the male companion, who is the partner of the female companion, an absolute idiot. They tried to make out that the woman is more intelligent than the man or much braver than the man, at the detriment of making the character a laughing stock. I've never been too keen when they've done things like that. They did it to Mickey and they do it to Rory. They do it within the character of the Dream Lord, so they get the Dream Lord to do it in this story. The Dream Lord is quite sardonic. Some of it is an acting choice, and it's very clear to see that. It's fine. That's absolutely fine. I'm fine with that choice. But the writing is also sardonic for the Dream Lord. Now, it's more to do with the fact that he does things like calling him a gooseberry and saying that he's got a pointy nose in that case. I don't mind the sardonicness peppered throughout, so long as it's not verbally calling Rory names. It's not really nice, and I don't think it teaches children and young people a great way to speak to people. It's just an observation. You can disagree with me if you like that. That is absolutely fine. Now, it felt like it was bringing the character of Rory down just for a cheap laugh, and it also makes you wonder, particularly at the end, if that is what the Doctor truly thinks of Rory. The Dream Lord is a good addition, though, other than that. The Dark Side of the Doctor. He's played by Toby Jones. I've seen Toby in numerous things before and after. By the way, did you know he does the voice of Dobby in the Harry Potter series? Just a random fact for you there. I think Toby really likes doing these types of characters. He's very versatile. He's definitely enjoying this. That's for sure. You can see it. His character was incredibly wordy, though. It made me think of the word Lord, known as Nobody No One from the Big Finish stories. It gets referred to as that. I remember thinking the first time that I saw it that it was genuinely going to be Nobody No One. I was a little bit disappointed when he wasn't, but that's fine. I do like the addition of this character though. It's cunning, it's clever, it's a mind-warping reality type of character. We have those types of characters naturally, of course, throughout the years. We have the Celestial Toymaker. I just like these kinds of characters that play on your mind. I think what is scary is that it's a type of character that would terrify children and young people. It would have terrified me as a child because it is something that he puts into your head and you can't control it. And that's a scary fact, something that you cannot control. It's a fact of life. You can't control a nightmare. You can't control a dream. And you have to find some way in order to get out of it. And most of the time, that's by waking up. But in this reality, well, with Doctor Who, they have to figure it out themselves. The fact that he gives them the choice between two dreams, well, one dream, one reality, as we're told, is a really good idea. And the fact that they can move and he can move between those two dreams is something that is highly entertaining. It helps blur the lines as to what is real and what is not. I think this story, in many respects, with the Dream Lord would have been better if it had been outside of the TARDIS completely. So, for example, one could have been on the alien planet and one could have been on the Earth, because even though there is a twist at the end, and a good twist at that, Russell T Davies, you can't help but think that all the way through that the dream TARDIS is the real reality. It is what leads you to believe that. I think it should have been made a little bit of a harder guess. What helps keep it complicated, though, is the fact that they do actually keep moving between the dreams, and they don't spend too long in any one dream. So it does make it confusing enough, but they could have upped the ante a little bit. However, it was slightly over our heads, but attainable, I think. I think what plays into this story strength is the fact that Simon Nye, the writer for this, kept the cast really small. And this is really helpful with this type of story. If you have too many characters in this type of story, then it becomes immensely complicated. Instead, he kept it to the Doctor, Rory, Amy, the Dream Lord, and Mrs. Poggett. They had the right amount of extras to make it scary enough, and the idea of the Ecnodeans is a good one. Do you think that this is an alien that we could actually bring back on a more regular basis to Doctor Who? Or is it just one of those aliens that is a one-off type of story? I can imagine that this would have frightened people, the idea of the Ecnodeans taking over the bodies of the elderly. I love the fact that they turn everyone into dust. It creates the right amount of confusion and fear. I think it is in particular at its most scary when they do it to the children. As morbid as that is, it does paint a grim reality. We do get a lot of action in Upper Ledworth, which is great. They utilise all of the actors fantastically in that. It is questionable that they drag a pregnant woman up the stairs. I wasn't too keen on that. However, they have Amy to make the sacrifice in order to bring them back to the TARDIS to deal with the cold burning star. This is where I wish that the story itself would be a little bit longer. Whilst the story doesn't actually need two parts to it, and it works very well as a one-parter, I think 44 minutes was a little bit on the short side for it, because he has to fix the issue, the Doctor that is, of the cold burning star. I love the idea of this TARDIS drifting towards a cold burning star. Throughout they were implying that they were going to crash into it and it was going to be a terrifying explosion and all of that, only to not really have that payoff. And I would have liked to have seen that payoff. I would have liked to have seen them trying to get out of the cold burning star situation, flying around or doing something crazy, something like that. And the Doctor believing that it is actually real until he realizes that this is also a dream, because cold burning stars don't exist. And then he realizes that it is still the dream and he blows up the TARDIS. I think that would have been better. I'm not a writer for Doctor Who, so I don't really know if that would have been a good idea, but the point is, I'd have liked to have seen more action. I spoke about Karen Gillan in my last review that she was featured in. I think one of the things that I've critiqued her on was the fact that her diction was really bad at times, and I had to turn on the subtitles so that I could work out what she was trying to say. Her diction was better this time. I also really enjoy Arthur DeVille in this. They have a tendency to make the male characters sometimes what I would call a bit of a wet blanket, and at times throughout in this he was the laughing stock. However, he shows his anxiety around the fact that Amy might be more interested in the Doctor than she is him. He doesn't play the character as stupid, even though he gets called a lot of names under the sun. I will take a moment to critique Rory in another review where he is more of a focused character because it gives Arthur more to do as the character. But overall, it is a mid-card story with a fantastic finale that does keep you guessing. That's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Chat about it, don't shout about it. Like, share, subscribe, switch on the notification bell so you know when I'm releasing another video. I'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. with crazy woke news. I shall see you then. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.